Most people spend their lives chasing approval. They dress to be admired, speak to be accepted, and live to be liked. But here's the ruthless truth. The more you crave to be liked, the weaker you become. Why? Because approval is control. When your happiness depends on the opinions of others, you hand them the strings to your life. You become a puppet of their expectations, and no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough, because someone, somewhere, will still disapprove. The real path to power begins with the opposite, the courage to stand alone, the strength to live by your own values, even if it means people hate you for it. This is the power of being disliked. History's most influential figures, from Socrates to Nietzsche, from Rosa Parks to Steve Jobs, were not loved by everyone. In fact, they were often ridiculed, criticized, even despised. But what they refused to do was bend. They lived on their own terms, and in the process, reshaped the world. So if you want real freedom, real confidence, real power, stop chasing approval. Instead, embrace the courage to be disliked. Because the truth is simple. To rise above the herd, you must first accept that the herd may turn against you. First, we discuss the psychology of approval. Let's start with a question. Why do we care so much about being liked? The answer lies deep in our psychology. Thousands of years ago, human survival depended on belonging to the tribe. To be rejected was to risk death, starvation, isolation, vulnerability. Evolution wired us to crave acceptance like oxygen. Fast forward to today, and that wiring still drives us. But here's the twist. In the modern world, being disliked doesn't kill you, yet our minds still act like it does. A frown, a harsh word, a critical comment on social media, it feels like danger. And so we adapt, conform, and censor ourselves just to avoid disapproval. Psychologists call this the approval trap. It's a cycle. The more you seek approval, the less authentic you become. The less authentic you become, the more empty you feel. And the more empty you feel, the more you chase approval to fill the void. But here's the paradox. Those who desperately try to be liked often end up disrespected. Why? Because people can smell desperation. They sense when someone is bending over backwards to please, and nothing kills respect faster than the stench of neediness. On the other hand, those who set boundaries, who stand firm, who are willing to be disliked, these people radiate strength. And strength is magnetic. People may not always like them, but they cannot ignore them. This is why the courage to be disliked is the foundation of power. It's not about arrogance or cruelty. It's about authenticity. It's about being so grounded in who you are that no opinion can shake you. And the moment you stop needing approval, you gain influence. Because now, people realize they cannot control you. And that, paradoxically, makes them respect you even more. Secondly, we discuss historical lessons. History is filled with men and women who understood this truth. Power demands the courage to be disliked. Take Socrates. In ancient Athens, he questioned the very foundations of society, its politics, its morals, its gods. He annoyed the powerful, challenged the comfortable, and exposed the ignorance of the so-called wise. Did the Athenians like him for it? No. They condemned him to death. But Socrates' refusal to conform gave birth to Western philosophy. He became immortal precisely because he dared to be disliked. Or consider Jesus. His teachings threatened the religious and political order of his time. Crowds adored him, but authorities despised him. They crucified him not because he was liked, but because he was feared. His willingness to be rejected by men, in order to stand for his truth, created one of the most enduring spiritual movements in history. Niccolo Machiavelli, in The Prince, argued that a ruler must be willing to be feared rather than loved if he cannot be both. He understood that the desire to be liked weakens leaders. A leader who fears unpopularity cannot make hard decisions, and the willingness to be disliked is the very quality that allows rulers to maintain authority. Nietzsche himself lived as an outsider. His ideas, God is dead, will to power, and the concept of the Übermensch were radical, offensive, even shocking in his time. He was mocked, ignored, and left in obscurity during his life. But his refusal to bend to the morals of the herd made him one of the most influential philosophers in history. Today, his words shape psychology, literature, and even politics. Even in modern times, the pattern repeats. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, disliked by many in her time, but ignited a civil rights revolution. Steve Jobs was criticized as arrogant and difficult, but his unwillingness to compromise gave the world Apple and transformed technology. Muhammad Ali was ridiculed, stripped of his title, and despised by millions for refusing the Vietnam draft. But his conviction earned him a place as one of the most respected athletes and activists in history. The lesson is clear. Those who dare to be disliked may suffer in the short term, but they shape the long term. Approval is fleeting. Conviction is eternal. On the third spot, we discuss the dark side of approval. Let's flip the coin. What happens to those who crave approval above all else? The history of weak leaders, broken lives, and empty careers tells the story. When leaders bend to please everyone, they stand for nothing. They become puppets of the crowd. Politicians who follow polls instead of principles gain short-term applause but lose long-term respect. In personal life, the story is no different. The person who cannot say no drowns under the weight of endless obligations. The girl who constantly seeks validation online becomes addicted to likes and follows, yet feels hollow inside. The man who sacrifices his values just to be accepted loses himself entirely. This is the slavery of approval. It gives the illusion of love but hides chains. It makes you think you're safe, but in truth, you're trapped. Nietzsche warned against this herd mentality. He argued that morality itself is often just the opinion of the masses designed to control the individual. To be free, one must create their own values, even if it means walking alone. And this is the hardest part. The path to power is lonely. At first, you may lose friends, status, even comfort. But what you gain is infinitely greater. Authenticity, respect, and the ability to live life on your own terms. Number 4. The path to self-mastery. So how do you learn the courage to be disliked? Step 1. Know your values. You cannot stand firm unless you know what you stand for. Define your principles, your vision, your boundaries. Without them, you will bend to anyone's will. Step 2. Practice saying no. Every no builds strength. At first it feels uncomfortable. But every time you refuse what doesn't serve you, you reclaim your power. Step 3. Embrace discomfort. Being disliked will hurt at first, but discomfort is the price of freedom. Let the sting of criticism be your training ground. Step 4. Lead yourself first. As Nietzsche said, those who cannot command themselves will be commanded. Discipline your habits, your thoughts, your desires. The more control you have over yourself, the less control others can have over you. Step 5. Accept loneliness. Power requires walking alone at times. But solitude is not emptiness. It is the forge where self-respect is born. Step 6. Transform criticism into fuel. Let hatred sharpen you, not weaken you. Every insult is proof that you dared to live differently. And every critic is a shadow cast by your light. The truth is brutal but liberating. If you want power, you must learn to be disliked. Approval is cheap, but respect is priceless. And the paradox of life is this. When you stop chasing approval, you often gain it. Look at history. The rebels, the misfits, the visionaries. They were ridiculed in their time, but revered in ours. Why? Because they chose authenticity over applause. They embraced the loneliness of their path, and in doing so, lit a fire that others eventually followed. So ask yourself, are you living to be liked, or are you living to be free? Because in the end, every powerful person discovers the same truth. It's better to walk alone in strength than to be carried by the herd in weakness. Want power? Learn to be disliked.